Welcome back to Porn Talk. Today we are back with the dynamic duo, Zach and Sierra. Their insights and wisdom combined with their 20 plus years of experience together have left a lasting impact on many. We can't wait to dive deeper into their experience on relationships and personal transformation. So grab your favorite beverage, get cozy, and let's embark on another exciting episode today. Welcome back, Zach and Sierra. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
So we talked about the challenges, the problems. Now let's talk about solutions. So to catch you up, if you haven't listened to the prior episode, please do that. But just in a nutshell, Zach was getting into alcohol and porn and masturbation. Sierra had some infidelity, so they had some very serious challenges. They almost got divorced, but they didn't. They're here now 20 plus years together. So tell us about some of the solutions.
Yeah. Well,
first off, I feel like in my mind, we've almost gotten divorced multiple times. 2 in my mind. You say 3. I don't relate to the third, but
it was over here with me.
I know. There's 2 that I was like, uh-oh, code red. So it wasn't a one-time deal, and we want to be clear that what we'll share with you is not that there's no place to quote-unquote get and stay. And a lot of times the mischief that happens in things that we'll share is it sounds like, okay, if I can do that, then I'll have. And I think that's an important distinction.
Or if I can get through it this time, then we will be fine.
Then we'll be fine. And so when we made it pass and broke through a barrier of divorce, and then it came up again, it's like, oh my gosh, maybe this is meant to be. And then it comes up again. Well, third time's the charm. This obviously won't work. And what we're sharing with you is simply applying things that make a difference in the relationship. There is no arrival. There's no arrival. It's an act of creation that has to be constantly explored. So I wanted to kind of put that up there as a primer as you think through some of the things we're about to share.
Yeah. And I think part of what we do now is really a culmination of not just our process, it's also a community effort that we've been working with for almost a decade now. And we could easily sit here and give you tips and tricks, and those will be nice, but it will really just be like putting perfume on after a hard gym workout.
Yeah, I totally relate to what you're saying, because when I was trying to overcome sex and porn addiction, I had a lot of tools, tricks, tactics you could use, but not until I had that core change in my identity.
Yes.
Instead of looking myself as Eric the sexaholic, Eric the powerless sexaholic, until I turned that around, it was really challenging. So then all those tools, techniques, and tactics could really work much better when I had that core change.
I don't know if it sounds like you do realize the power of what you just said is so profound. Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about is the power of language. And one of the first things we do, and it's a really weird question, when people want a better relationship, they want a better life, we specifically around couples or individuals wanting to be inside a relationship, we ask, it's a very weird question, where is your relationship? It's a very odd question. And if you look, not just relationships, but anything in life that's important to you is found inside your language. It's not a physical thing. It's actually what you say about it. If you just look, and if you're listening to this, look, it is found inside. That is the location of value. It's found inside what you say about it. And I think what you said is so profound because what it is it's an act of creation that is followed up by action. But it's what you said about it is what really created the shift. Mm-hmm. And what we would offer is it's not the thing, but damn, it's a great place to start.
It is. And you nailed it right on the head. There was something that wasn't going to be just a change. Maybe this tip or trick might have changed something for a moment, but we were starving for transformation. And so we lovingly say our work is for people who are hurting in their relationship, and it's for people who are hungry for like the next level in their relationship. If you're finding you're fine, if you're good being good, we are not for you, because we're looking for people who want to actually transform and not just put a nice spritzer of perfume on so you smell nice and so your relationship looks nice and it feels nice. We want to transform it. And that's what we were starving for.
So we're not here to be like, well, if you're having a hard time connecting, here are 3 things you can do. Have a date night. Look at each other in the eyes and talk about what you appreciate. Like those things, it's like, okay.
I promise you, if you are experiencing infidelity in your relationship, that cute thing's not going to work.
Having some alone time won't do it.
Yeah. So we were really fortunate to have one of those transformative experiences. Mm-hmm. And the reason it happened was because we were inside of community. We said in the last episode, we were sitting across from another couple. They called something out and we had to face it. It was right there. We couldn't hide it anymore. And so if you are looking for a transformation in your experience, in an addiction, and when I say addiction, I mean quite literally anything. We're health coaches as well. We see it with food, with sugar, right? Mm-hmm. All of those things. Yeah. You cannot have a transformative experience without a guide and within community. That is what community is for. They're a reflection of your environment, of your behavior. They make your story more real because they're telling you and giving you feedback, of what is actually kind of oozing out of you. So we always encourage really great, healthy community. And because we were in healthy community, we started to engage in that conversation about relationship and what it actually was, because we realized quite quickly that all of the books we read, all of the, counseling and therapy and methodologies and all of these different things, not one of them answered the question of what a relationship is. So here are all these resources on how to fix something, and no one can identify what they're trying to fix.
And for proof, if I asked you, your definition of a relationship will be different than your mom's or your brother's or your sister's or your friends or your coworkers. Why is it that we get different, sometimes the polar opposite definitions of a relationship? Yeah. But if I ask you to explain what a chair is, everyone around the world is directionally going to explain the same thing.
Right. So I know this is a very important topic here. Let me back up just a little bit. Mm-hmm. You said about definitions. When you say community, what do you mean community? Like, are you talking about an in-person meeting? Or are you talking about like an online forum? What do you mean community?
Oh, both are very valuable. So there is value in being with people who are for you. You know what I mean? For you, people who are for your well-being, for your goals. Some of those communities are online. For us, we had communities that were all over the country, different couples all over the country, and some were in person. But community that's going to be for you. So for many, that does look like maybe reaching out to a community group or trying to find something that is local.
And, I think you hit on something really core that is a big challenge nowadays, in my opinion, because I grew up in a very religious household, and now I'm more spiritual than religious. But I was telling my wife, one of the big things that I do miss, I have to admit, is the community. Mm-hmm. And a lot of churches are closing down now, or being closed. And, I'm not saying a person needs to be religious per se, but there is definitely value there of those communities. And I think there is a void there.
Yes.
So anyway.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think somewhere in
Nailed it on the head,
one of the oldest libraries of all time, the Bible even says it's not good for man to be alone. And there is a lot of truth in that experience. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that helps is, so if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know a community, I'm in this yeah, I'm in a community at the bar, and we all get drunk and masturbate all the time.
Healthy community.
Yeah.
Yes,
So what do we mean by
that's
healthy? See, and I would go even further to say it's not just a healthy community; it's a community that aligns with your purpose
and wise counsel. Like,
Yeah.
who are the people you are talking to? Who are the people who are listening and not listening to speak next, not listening to give their advice of something they've never even been through before, but who's that wise counsel that you're actually seeking a place to land your heavy junk?
And the value of a purpose allows you to say yes and no in the right situations.
Yeah.
The value of a purpose is we've opened up our entire life schedule because now that we're clear on what our couple's purpose is, like to live outwardly in the world of relationships, make a difference in the world of relationships, that's what made this podcast easy to say yes to. Versus if it was like a video game podcast, I would probably just say no, because it's just not where I like video games. I'm not against them, but it allows you to say yes and no to things in your life. Now, I want to feel free to go back if I don't want to throw us off here, but sometimes folks, especially that might be listening to this, they're still a little bit unsatisfied because there's that addiction of looking for, okay, get to the point and tell me what to do. And what we're offering is when we start to experience, no joke, like extreme peace in our relationship and ease and not critical upset around sex or intimacy or Sierra being wanted and loved and appreciated. What allowed us to experience that is actually seeing something for what it actually was. And simply seeing it for what it was, what it allowed us to do is become radically responsible for our actions. And I'll give you just for proof to kind of help you conceptualize this. If anyone's like, I think I get what you're saying. This is a perfect analogy. Imagine a boiling hot coffee mug without a handle, and you're looking at it. And the only way you can grab the coffee mug without a handle is what? Like you have to kind of have your hand open like a cup and kind of grab it, and you're going to burn yourself. So what do? You go on Amazon, you buy a glove so you can pick up and not burn your hand and drink the mug, or you buy a tool, or you hire somebody else to do it for you, or you buy a towel. You buy gimmicks to not burn your hand. What we do and what we're asking is stop for a moment. And what if we just turn the coffee mug and you can see a handle on the other side? You can still buy all the gimmicks. You can still do all those things. Those will work.
I mean, they'll work, but eventually you're going to need a new glove because it's going to get worn out.
And now you have to take radical responsibility for how you show up with that mug, because now you can't unsee that handle.
That's a great analogy. I love that.
That's what we do in relationship is we
do.
show people like now it's quite clear on why I had a porn addiction. It's quite clear on why I was addicted to video games.
It's quite clear why I went and slept with someone else. It's like, oh,
it wasn't because I wasn't showing my love.
Right.
That's like 3 levels up. If you typically, people want to add things. So if you really want to solve something, and you did it too, you started it with language, is sometimes you have to take away things so you can actually see more clearly.
Yes. And if somebody's a longtime listener, they've heard this story many times, but you can't see this right now, but over my shoulder here is this golden Buddha. And there's a story, true story, that these monks had this giant golden Buddha. They knew this invading army was coming in, so they disguised it. They covered it in clay and mud, and their disguise worked. The invading army did come, but unfortunately killed all the monks that knew that the golden Buddha was there. 100 years passes, another set of monks is there. He's like, what's that glimmer of light there? And they unearth this massive golden Buddha. And that is us. We get in life buried in traumas and addiction, infidelity, and we lose sight of who we really are.
Yes.
And then it's funny because we wonder, And people may say, well, gosh, if Zach had done that, I'd never trust him again. Or if Sierra had done that, I'd never trust him again. And it's like, well, you didn't really know who you were dealing with. And what if you unveiled so much that you knew so much, but then you were able to just trust? You know, it's just, it's available. It's available right there.
So you brought up a huge word, and that is trust. Let's talk about that word trust.
Let's do it. We know it. We know it well. Let's do it.
How did you guys, after porn and sex addiction, after infidelity, how did you rebuild trust in your relationship?
So something that we help walk people through, because we think that the word trust is used incorrectly.
Okay.
And so language is really important in what we do. So we're going to give you some other words to look at, because trust, similar to honor or love or cherish, it's something that you can just give a person.
It's a gift.
You can just do it.
There is no earning.
There's no earning or value around it. It's actually something that you can just do. And the reason we know this to be true, and remember, this is going to be like information, because we can't guide you through a process right now. So this might be information, but it'll hopefully be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So we get in our cars each day and we drive on the road, and we have a lot of trust for hundreds of people we do not know.
Yeah.
I'm trusting they know how to drive. I'm trusting they got a license. I'm trusting they're insured. They know how to
trust they're not going to cross that line.
Right? We go about our days trusting so much, trusting that the checker knows what they're doing, that nobody's going to spit in my food when I go to a restaurant. Okay? So we know that it's like very available to us all the time.
What people are probably referring to is confidence.
And predictability.
When you hear you have to earn my trust, is not true. What they're saying, and it's not good or bad. A lot of times people hear this as bad, like I have to change it. No, we're not asking you to change anything. We're just asking you to be responsible for the gift that you have. That's always up to you. I can't put the responsibility on Sierra to be trustful. I can choose to trust her as a gift. However, it's a fair request to say, I need more confidence. I'm not going to give you my gift of trust, and I'm unwilling to. However, I am going to trust you today, and then I'm going to trust you again tomorrow, or I'm going to trust you for the next hour. Confidence is relying based off of some sort of predictability, and you need to see like data points so you can feel confident in predicting the next move. Mm-hmm. We typically collapse trust into confidence.
The word, what comes to mind when what you're saying, trust is a noun, correct? That is a noun. So, but when I'm looking at it as a verb, as trusting, and that you can, if it's a choice, then you can take this action to trust and be trusting of that person.
Right. Yeah. So if you think of it as a choice, like I am going to trust.
Yes.
I'm not going to trust as long as this happens. I'm not going to know. You take it. Trust. I'm going to trust this person. You then start living that way. You start, making other opportunities available. You start seeing new things about them or not. And you still can say, I'm going to trust you today.
Because that is the single most challenging thing that I come across with when I'm working with a guy that he's gung-ho, he's breaking his porn addiction, he's doing great.
Yep.
But his wife doesn't believe that or doesn't see that. And that is one of the biggest challenges.
Yes.
It is. It's really challenging because it is something that we have been taught that it has to be earned.
Yes.
And when you think of it as a gift to give someone, it actually provides an amazing space for that person to live in. Because when you are living a life walking on eggshells, that's a hard life. So as a spouse, you're wanting to see your partner make a change, and yet you're creating an environment that is antithetical to any type of transformation because they're having to walk on eggshells around you because you're not trusting. And so when you really go through the process of taking off those layers, right, chipping away the mud on the golden Buddha, something's available to you. And what that might look like and what we see in a lot of couples when we uncover those things is, oh, wow, there's trust.
And the challenge is there's something undermining this experience that we have to be here. I mean, our workshop's 2 days. I mean, I can tell you again, but it sound like information, but I give you a little bit of a teaser of what might be in the background for people and what might be available to your male clients and the wife is when the experience of trust is the giver is unwilling to give because it cannot be earned. What might be available to explore is, can there be a promise made? Mm-hmm. And promises are also one of those nefarious words that get abused. Like, you can't promise yourself anything. You know, that's more of like a committed intention or state of mind. Promises and commitments are the very foundation to all relationships, and they are co-owned. Mm-hmm. So what might be available is, and Sierra and I had to explore this quite a bit, is specifically around drinking. Like, there was a point where I had to promise Sierra I would not drink and drive at all, like 0 drinks. Mm-hmm. And then we got to a point where, and she just trusted. And I'm like, okay, do you trust me today? Yes. And I said, I promise I'll take this action today or all week. And so she's counting on me, not just me to own the promise, but to also take action on the promise. So, so there is an action that can be done. It's
not a wait and see if he does it attitude. It's I am a participant in the other side of this. So maybe that looks like checking in. Maybe that looks like the environment is right. So when things are co-owned, it's really a new experience of operating in your relationship rather than being across from someone who is just waiting to see if you fail. You know, that's a really hard place to live.
So what might be available, we never did this with porn, and it didn't lend itself to that, but we did it with other things, is in situations like if the wife or you or me are unable to or are not willing to trust, mm-hmm. there's a game to be played, mm-hmm. and that game is a new promise. Mm-hmm. And maybe that promise is, hey, every single day, why don't you check in with me and let's have a conversation around like your wins around porn or your wins around X topic. So it's like it's a collaborative co-owned experience. Mm-hmm. And then that's where that relatedness starts to happen. It's the wait and see is you start to approach relationship adversarially. Mm-hmm. And a lot of breakdown that happens is you start to look at your partner to see if they're going to pass or fail. Mm-hmm. And you're actually operating from an individual paradigm versus a we.
If you're operating in your relationship with doubt, with distrust, with a wait and see attitude, you're going in expecting it to fail, and you're going in with the resistance. And so what we would love people to engage with is, you know, flipping that back around. I mean, like, well, what if you let go of all of these layers? And what a lot of people say, well, I've been hurt in the past, so, you know, I'm very, what do people say? I'm very closed or not open. I keep things very, very private. And my question is, how is that working for you? Yeah. How are your relationships?
Well, Zach and Sierra, I could talk to you guys all day. I mean, you have some great insights. Zach, you had mentioned some seminar, or what is, if someone wants to learn more about you guys or what you do,
yes.
How do we do that?
So, Sierra, I'll let you add that it's the second piece, but we do have workshops. Our core transformational offering is it's a 2-weekend workshop. It's called The Path to Extraordinary Relationship. And you can find that on our website, Be Intact. And we do have 3 events coming up. One in Redmond, Seattle, Washington in October, 7th and 8th. And this is for singles that might be frustrated, looking for the next step, wanting to explore, and they feel maybe a bit stuck. And then we have one the very following weekend, the 14th and 15th, for couples, and then another one in Denver. You can find all that information on our website. We also, if you're just ready to take that just a little baby step and just explore this topic a bit more, we have a ton of free resources that you put on.
Yeah, so on our website, which is just www.beintact.com, you can download a free What to Say When guide. Because sometimes approaching these conversations, especially when you're trying to take a new step that you have never taken before, that could be inviting your partner to something, or maybe having a conversation you have not been able to break through to before. We have this guide called What to Say When, and it'll break down some questions, and it's a pretty long one, so you can go to our website and download that.
That sounds like a phenomenal resource.
And if you're trying to broach, I'm going to
download that.
Yeah. It's a lot of times we approach, in our attempt to save our marriage or save our relationship, we actually kill it by withholding things. So this guide is a step to give you the tool to engage in a conversation that allows for the space of listening and grace.
Right, because we find that many relationships are trying to survive and want so badly to be understood, and there's still just so many things in the way of doing that. So this guide is hopefully really helpful for that. That's our hope. And then we have ongoing retreats as well. There's one coming up. It's a little late to register for, but we do have ongoing retreats for couples who've completed the whole series. And that's the community we're talking about. That's one of them at least. We're in a bunch of them, but that is one where it's a bunch of relationships who just want to be more related with their spouse.
There's that now what experience. Like there are probably plenty of people that listen to this podcast, and they're like, okay, we finally are at a place where we're healing around the damage I've done to my marriage, around this addiction or anything. What typically comes up is that, well, now what? And what we're offering is there is a place to actually explore, and actually not just explore, but be in this constant state of exploration.
Yeah. And for your listeners, we work with a lot of couples who have had similar stories like the ones you've shared, like the ones we've shared, whether it be porn or drugs. And, that takes a toll on relationships. And so I always remind people, you're in great company. You're in great company with people who are ready for growth in their life to make a difference. So
go to beintact.com, right?
Beintact. So BEINTACT.com. And you can find us on Instagram and social media at beintact.
Beintact. Got it. Beintact.com. Download the free guide that Sierra mentioned. I'm going to check that out myself. Thanks for being here today. And I'll close. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm going to close. I love this quote from Zig Ziglar, who says, "You are designed for accomplishment. You are engineered for success, and you are endowed with the seeds of greatness."
Join Powerful Eric's free Facebook group, Endeavor to Quit, and take control of your life. Learn more at powerfuleric.com.